Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, UWP says lack of representation by government MPs from the north has led to Ross University's departure. MP for Portsmouth hits back, saying the UWP is playing irresponsible politics with the Ross University exit. And CXC records success in the use of a more resilient testing platform. The details coming up.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
First up in the news, the leader of the opposition UWP, Honorable Lennox Linton, has accused 4 Labour Party MPs of failing to do what was necessary to ensure Ross University remained in Dominica. After 40 years of operations here, Ross University was moved to Barbados, taking away its contribution to the local economy. The move has had a devastating impact on livelihoods in the north and the wider Dominican community. But speaking at a public meeting in Portsmouth Thursday night, the leader of the opposition UWP blamed certain members of cabinet for the Ross situation. He says some of these MPs represent people in areas most affected by the departure of Ross University. Mr. Linton said the MP for Portsmouth tried to get the opposition parliamentarian Danny Luge ruled out of order when he attempted to raise the issue in Parliament.
Reginald Austria was sitting there, Catherine Daniel was sitting there, Rosalind Paul was sitting there, and they were cheering him on to take Ross out of the conversation. So they weren't interested. They didn't know what they were dealing with. And therefore, they have ruled themselves unqualified to represent you. They have ruled themselves disqualified to represent you, because representation of people is about paying attention to their vital interests. And they're given the opportunity in the highest decision-making body in the country. They wanted to rule representation of those vital interests for you, the people of this community, out of order. In other words, they don't want to hear it, it's irrelevant, they don't want to talk about it. And that is not acceptable.
Linton says inaction on the Ross matter has had a negative impact on livelihoods in Picard and surroundings.
That kind of governance conduct gets us nowhere. As a matter of fact, it gets us exactly where we are right now. Without Ross, under pressure, and a whole set of people, hundreds of people, across this country, with mortgages in the big area in difficulty, with jobs in difficulty, with a small business struggling and likely to close down. And this is happening under a government that this part of Dominica has voted for 58 years.
The leader of the opposition has also appealed to government to announce a bailout package for the people impacted by the exit of Ross University. Meantime, Member of Parliament for Portsmouth Ian Douglas has responded to opposition leaders' statements blaming northern MPs for the exit of Ross University. Douglas says the UWP continues to play irresponsible politics with the Ross issue, similar to what they did with bananas.
We have had a culture of saying things are good when we know they are good. Rosie again was the first leader on the opposition who established the Cuban scholarship program. He could have said that Freedom Party was in power and he don't need to do that because that would have been a benefit for Dominica, and he don't want Dominica to enjoy a benefit on the Freedom Party. He again established relations in England where he was able to bring down British parliamentarians to speak about the impending problems we would have experienced with the banana industry. But at the same time, United Workers' Party They had just been formed in 1988, approaching the 1990 elections, was saying to the farmers, don't worry, Rosie and these fellas, man. Bananas will last forever. Nothing can shake us. In fact, when we get to power, we'll give all you $1 upon our bananas. Irresponsible politicking. And lo and behold, we saw that when they themselves came to power, the banana industry experienced its greatest demise. They left the DBMC in debt of millions that this government, when we got to power in the 2000-2001 period, had to pay off on behalf of the DBMC. So to play in irresponsible politics always has a boomerang effect. It will come back and hurt you. And they're making the same mistake with this Ross issue. This is not a political issue. We should not politicize it. Too many lives depend on that medical school activity in Portsmouth. We should be racking our brains right now to see how we can bring the economic activity back to the Picard area.
Mr. Douglas says it's unfortunate that the opposition would take that position, that the government failed to do what was necessary to ensure Ross remained in the country.
The Ross exit is not a political one. There is absolutely nothing that anybody in Dominica could have done short of giving Ross a check of a couple of $1 million to stay. Because Ross themselves, we heard the chairperson of the Atalem group on television when she was announcing the Barbados move, say that it's a business decision that they took. The campus was destroyed, parts of the campus was destroyed by Hurricane Maria through absolutely no fault of anybody. I mean, the hurricane was an act of God, and as a result, the university felt that they had to move. I mean, the university enjoys every possible concession that government could give. We've just signed a new 25-year agreement. When they talk about parliamentary representatives of the North not understanding, my father was the one who brought Ross here. I was a little boy of 8 years old when my father was negotiating with Ross, and I was at his side there at Fort Young Hotel when Ross made the decision to move to Picard. My father was the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance at the time. Honorable Reginald Austrie worked in the gross anatomy lab for a number of years at Ross University. So, I mean, we were the first ones on campus after the hurricane. I myself went onto the campus personally and sat and spoke with Dean Stan White and offered all of the possible help that we could offer to the university in coping and with the trauma of the hurricane that had just passed. And I was like days after the hurricane. The first place in Dominica to be electrified is Picard, and that was for the purposes of getting Ross University back onto the power grid and getting lights post-Maria, after Hurricane Maria. I mean, so there is no question about the government's partnership with Ross and working with Ross and working towards the re-establishment of the campus.
UWP candidate for Soufriere constituency Dr. Sam Christian says his party has plans for the facilities left behind by Ross University. Prime Minister Skerritt has said that he was in discussions with Ross ownership over government's potential acquisition of the facilities at Picard. But Dr. Christian says his party has some ideas which include provision of healthcare services to bring back economic activity in the area.
We have a plan, we have a major plan for reviving and utilizing this facility. We've always talked about wellness tourism, where people could come and have surgeries at a fraction of a cost of which they could have it in the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom, and link it with a vacation of like no other in the nature isle.
In other news, the Caribbean Examination Council is reporting success in the use of a more resilient testing platform.
E-testing is the administering of a test on screen instead of on paper, either using local systems or web-based systems. Public Relations Manager for CXC, Cleveland Sam, reported an increased number of subjects offered via e-testing and an increased number of students who sat those exams.
In terms of our e-testing program, we are CXC and some of the territories are moving forward with the e-testing program. And as we have told the territories, we will take territories along who are ready for e-testing. This year we had an increase in the number of territories as well as the number of subjects being offered at e-testing. For example, at Cape, we had 13 territories on board for e-testing. For CSEC, we had 9 territories, and for CCSLC, we had 3 territories taking their subjects at e-testing.
Sam also pointed to the benefits of e-testing, especially in a CXC territory which has been affected by a natural disaster.
As a result of the devastation of the hurricane in the BVI, they had nowhere to store examination papers, and they basically, the entire population in BVI, cohort in BVI, for this year's exams, wrote the exams using our e-testing platform, which was really, again, showed the importance of resilience of Caribbean people. And in times of hurricane and other disasters, once we have our computers or some electrical device, the e-testing platform will come in very useful for administration of the examination.
You are watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, we hear from the manager of DOWASCO on post-Hurricane Maria restoration efforts.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fence pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thank you for staying with us. MP for Portsmouth Ian Douglas has welcomed the Financial Times report, placing Dominica at the top of 13 jurisdictions where the Citizenship by Investment program exists. Prime Minister Skerritt and his administration have come under opposition criticism for allegedly mismanaging the CBI program. CBS News also aired a 60-minute segment on Dominica CBI program featuring Steve Croft and the leader of the opposition. That program drew criticism from government for what was seen as a misrepresentation of the program and bad publicity for the country. However, the 2018 CBI Index, which ranks the world's active citizenship by investment programs, notes that of the 13 CBI jurisdictions worldwide, Dominica spearheads the industry. Dominica is reportedly scoring perfect marks in 5 of the 7 pillars against which each program is evaluated, among them the question of due diligence. Portsmouth MP Ian Douglas presides over a constituency which stands to benefit from hotel projects which will be funded under the CBI program.
When we came to power, we strengthened the program. So that is where you're hearing now there are 5 pillars, 5 key pillars, which the global citizenship programs are being judged on. And one of them is due diligence. And Dominica, first in the world for 2 years running consecutively. Because we've always said that our program is foolproof. We've always said that we do our due diligence, we put systems in place to ensure that our program continues to remain attractive. And even when there are other islands in the region that now seeing the benefits of having a citizenship program are coming on board, but they drop in the price. So they cannibalize in the program. Dominica decided, no, our program is so valuable that we don't need to drop our prices for us to remain competitive. And it worked.
In more news now, General Manager of DOWASCO, Bernadette Enoff, says that company has restored 98% of what was destroyed by Hurricane Maria. Etinoff told Channel 5 News DOWASCO has done well in its quest to restore water to Dominica post-Maria, and he says the remaining 2% will be achieved when ongoing rehabilitation works at the Pishley intake are completed. The Pishley intake serves Tetmore, Granby, and of course Pishley.
Those areas have, especially in Granby, intermittent water supply because we provide water for the Granby community, Tetmore, on a phased approach, if you like, or a rationing type situation. And some areas still are not able to receive water because the small intake that we use is not adequate to supply all these communities with water. So we are heavily dependent on the Pishley intake for those communities, and restoration works there should be completed by the end of September.
Etinoff says steps are being taken currently as DOWASCO works to restore water to Montrachet. DOWASCO has been trucking water to parts of that community for quite some time now.
We have now completed a new pump station close to the Batterley Bridge, and we're going to be trying to utilize the storage tank that was constructed under the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Program. And so once we can fill that tank from that pumping station, from the main lines on the West Coast Road, we should see the problem in Monrachet and Upper Coolibistry alleviated completely. So basically that's where we are. Some of the systems are temporary, and we are in the process of undertaking interventions to make those much more permanent.
The UK government's Department of International Development has made £25 million available to government, and Etinov says that money has been passed on to DOWASCO.
So what is happening right now is that their consultant is on the way to design interventions. These are international consultants, so design interventions to make our water systems more resilient. So we're working in collaboration with government and our partners, DFID, the CDB, and so on, to make sure that the interventions make our systems more climate resilient, in keeping with the government's position to make Dominica the first climate resilient country of the world.
4 health centers around the island will receive upgrades through a $50,000 donation from the Barbados Community Foundation.
The Barbados Community Foundation was formed in November 1999 as a charitable foundation under the Charities Act and recently raised 100,000 Barbados dollars for Dominica. SIDEMA Executive Director says they collaborated with the Ministry of Health to select the health centers for attention.
What we did was to reach out to the Ministry of Health to find out what facilities remained unaddressed and what were the nature of the work that was required to bring them back into full operations. They would have shared with us a listing initially, along with preliminary estimates of the repairs that were required. We would have deployed one of our officers who would be in country liaising with the authorities generally on all of the projects that we were implementing in Dominica to have them ground truth this information. And then we did some negotiations back and forth.
The 4 health centers which will benefit from these funds are the Castle Bruce, Grand Falls, Salisbury and St. Joseph Health Centers.
Given the quantum of funds, they would have had to look at the listing to determine which facilities would best use those resources and to not have a sort of shortfall in repairing so that the projects could in fact be completed.
While the funds cannot develop the buildings to be smart health centers, Jackson applauds Dominica's move in that direction to keep in line with PAHO's smart hospital concept.
And PAHO would have been one of the partners working with SIDEMA in the development of this regional roadmap or blueprint, so to speak. We totally support the PAHO Smart Hospitals concept, and we certainly hope that their efforts to have this institutionalized within the Ministry of Health will allow this particular investment from the DCF to support any idea towards ensuring that these facilities, these 4 facilities that I have outlined, are moving towards becoming a smart facility.
And the use of illegal dumping continues to plague the Solid Waste Management Corporation's efforts at maintaining a clean and green Dominica. Illegal dumping has been a long-standing issue, but strides have been made over the years in helping Dominicans curb this practice. But earlier this week, building material and white goods were dumped near the village of Taru, one of the hotspots for unlawful waste disposal on the West Coast. General Manager of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, Florian Mitchell, says those who contract people to dump on their behalf must be more mindful of the end result.
A couple of days ago, I got a WhatsApp picture from a motorist, and somebody was actually in the Taru area right here disposing of some material. And we did our investigation, we called the relevant authorities, and we found out who the owner of the vehicle is. And in talking to the owner, he did not give his staff any instructions to dispose of the material at that location. And those are some of the issues that we are plagued with. In that, people are contracted or sent by their employer to dispose of material, and instead of coming to the landfill, they would dispose of the material at a location that is not approved if you contract somebody to get rid of something for you, ensure that they produce a tipping slip. So you covered basically that you're sure that they brought it at an approved location.
Mitchell says moving forward, more stringent measures will be introduced in an effort to reduce the incidence of prohibited waste disposal.
We have requested a few more monitoring officers through the NEP, which we are going to receive. And, well, within the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping that we get them within the next couple of weeks. And there are a few areas that we have demarcated as really hot spots. So they would be patrolling those areas to ensure we curtail on that illegal activity. Again, I mean, Dominica is yours. It's a clean place. I mean, it's your responsibility to ensure that the environment remains clean, and you don't have to be schooled or bullied or the law to be used. You know, I mean, it's our country. I mean, the things that we do is going to impact our society and our environment, both positively and negatively.
The corporation's general manager called on the public to be vigilant and play their part in helping curb these illegal practices and keep the country clean.
And to the general public, I mean, we traverse or we commute throughout the island. I mean, if you see somebody doing something illegal, please take a picture. You could send it to us on WhatsApp. Our number is 616-8168. Just take the picture, send it to us, and we will respond accordingly. And we really wanted to applaud the individual who did this. I mean, the person was concerned. I mean, one of the things that some people say, oh, we did not see a sign. The landfill is the approved location, focally sanitary landfill. If you have your refuse, take it there. If you're in the Portsmouth area and you have zinc, for the time being, bring it to Point Round. You know, if you are in the Focoli area, you do not leave the landfill and head down to somewhere in Massac or head down somewhere in Jimmy and dispose of it, and you pass the landfill in Focoli.
Currently, it costs $55 to dump 1 ton of waste at the Focoli landfill. A rate sheet exists for smaller quantities of refuse. To end the news, a look again at the headlines. UWP says a lack of representation by government MPs from the north has led to Ross University's departure. MP for Portsmouth Ian Douglas hits back, saying the UWP is playing irresponsible politics with Ross University's exit. And CXC records success in the use of a more resilient testing platform. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Have a good weekend.